Welcome to Spirituality Step by Step. My name is Dan Wigner. I'd like to talk to you today about one of the various spiritual practices available on my website. Um, as I usually mention in these videos, remember, with each of these practices, I'm just giving you enough information to begin, to start experimenting and exploring with a particular spiritual practice to see how it fits with you. So if you come to my website, spiritualitystepbystep.com, and click on Spiritual Practices, it'll take you to a list of the practices outlined, explained on my website. You'll also see a link there to my book, Just Begin, a source book of spiritual practices, which outlines many more practices and goes into greater depth for these as well. If we go down to praying with icons and look at that one for today, there are lots of different uses of icons, that specific form of Christian religious art within the spiritual practices of Christianity. Now, if you're a visually oriented person, then this might be a practice that you want to try. And I'm going to talk about specifically praying with icons, that is, using an icon that has already been produced. But there is a host of practices in a long tradition associated with the painting, or in the terminology, the writing of an icon, even though it's artwork to say writing of an icon, that is a spiritual practice within itself. If you are interested in the painting or writing of an icon as a spiritual practice, I've provided some links here for you to Peter Pearson's books, and he does a lot of workshops. He's a fabulous trainer in how to write an icon and how to approach that in a spiritual way. But as far as praying with icons, it's pretty simple as a place to begin, as a focus for your attention. Much like how centering prayer has you focus on a word, or Lectio Divina has you focus on the biblical text or another spiritual reading, praying with icons is a way to train your attention to focus on God visually. So, to explain what I mean, let's take a look at this very famous icon from the 6th century of Jesus on the page there on the left-hand side. So spend some time gazing at this icon of Christ. You're not necessarily paying attention to your breathing here, but just, breathe gently, settle yourself down. And as you look at that icon, let yourself be drawn into what is portrayed there. On the basic physical surface of it, well, what features stand out to you? Notice the position of Jesus's hands, what he's holding, the odd way that he seems to be looking, almost two different directions at once. After you spend time with that, you can go a little bit deeper into an allegorical or metaphorical sense. What do those features, how do they speak to you? How do they fit with your experience right now? You might even take an opportunity to journal some of those thoughts. There are no right or wrong answers to that. Just how does that strike you right now? And then you can move a little deeper into the picture, beyond just the physical way that Jesus, or if you're using a different icon, the figure is posed. Why isn't Jesus smiling? Why is he wearing dark colors? Why isn't there a nail print in his hand? Why is the background portrayed the way it is? Ask yourself some more leading questions, trying to kind of enter into the experience of what is depicted in that icon. And then finally, and then you might want to also spend some time journaling on those issues as well. And then ask yourself, the most personal questions, like what is Christ teaching you right now? What is Christ thinking about in that icon? How can you meet Christ through this image, this icon? What is he saying to you right now? You can ponder on those things, say them out loud, write them down. Um, whatever, experiment and explore with whatever seems to work to help you to focus your attention through this. Also, if you're interested in religious iconography, like for instance, the way Jesus' eyes look, there are reasons behind so much of the physical features and positions. And there are a lot of sources to help you interpret an icon for the symbolism that is placed into the icon by the religious artist, the iconographer. If you look at the resources below, several of these books will go into that kind of symbolism. Now, you don't need to know all the symbolism to get started. You can start at a very personal place. And even if you find out later that, how Jesus was holding his hand means something entirely different than what it meant to you today, that's okay. Maybe that's where you are today in the lesson you needed to take away. And there's always more to learn and more to practice, more to experiment, more to explore. But remember, it's still always important to just begin.